Well, good morning. Welcome to Wake Up Newport. This is our July meeting. We're pleased to have you here. You always hear me say that we have an exciting special meeting this morning. We have a really exciting special meeting this morning. So I think you'll all enjoy. As is with the routine that we have here, my first honorable responsibility, have to do it anyway, is invite Steve Rosansky up to welcome a few of our guests.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our July edition of Wake Up Newport. I'm glad you found us this week because normally we're the first Tuesday or Thursday of the month, but I didn't think we'd get this big of a turnout on July 5th, so we decided to move it. But next month we will be back to first Thursday. So thank you all for coming. As usual, we have some VIP type people I'd like to introduce to you that are joining us this morning. So I'll start off with our City Councilman, Scott Piotr, in the back of the room. We also are getting a visit this morning from a former councilwoman and mayor pro tem, and someone who I spent a number of years with on city council, Leslie Daigle. Here this morning. Okay. A bunch of folks. I think we have half the department heads here this morning. I don't know who's running the city, but I'm happy to see Carol Jacobs is here, assistant city manager. Carol. Our fire chief, Chip Duncan. The other uniform back there, our police chief, John Lewis. Parks and Rec director, Laura Detweiler. Our public information officer, Tara Finnegan. Our city clerk, Leilani Brown. And the one who helps us make it all happen here, our library services director, Tim Heatherton. Okay. I want to thank you again, Tim, for allowing us to use this room once a month. It's a great location for us, and I think everybody here appreciates the library opening up the room. Oh, Don snuck in. Walking Don Webb. Don and I also served on city council, former mayor and city councilman. Thanks for coming, Don. Centennial mayor. So with that, I will reluctantly hand this back over to Mr. former Mayor Rush Hill.
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker this morning. You've probably heard me say this many times before, but those of us that have the opportunity of living, working, or playing in Newport Beach enjoy a quality of life that's unique to any other community in this county, if not across the country. And that happens not by accident, but by a group of people that make policy, and then I think equally important, a group of people that have to implement that policy. And if you don't have good implementers, it doesn't matter what policy you make. Well, today we have the chief implementer of the city. Of our city government, the city council hires only 3 people: the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk. The city manager in our form of government, is the person responsible for hiring the rest of the staff. And it's through that process that policy is implemented. And we have had the pleasure of a city manager that will be almost impossible to replace. To find someone that knows as much about our airport and our love-hate of that organization and how important it is to keep it under control for our quality of life. Our clean water in our back bay and our harbor and the importance of that to our economy and our recreation. There are so many aspects of this full-service city that aren't called to everybody's attention. Our parks and recs that we have, programs for infants through seniors, people like myself. A quality of life that bring people to Newport. And today we have Dave Kiff with us, who's been our city manager for just about 9 years, has been with the city, I think, Dave, for 20 plus years. Where did Dave go? I didn't lose my speaker, did I? Oh, he's hiding back in the back. Yes, and there's another unique aspect, is that I think this is the third time that we've been able to get him out of bed at this time of morning. And I don't think he came on his bicycle. So I give you Dave Kiff.
Thank you very much, Rush. So, warning for you, these are sincere but also snarky, and a lot of this is fairly silly, a little bit serious. So, a little bit of I just want to give you a warning of this, and lots of pictures, because I don't want to bore you to death with PowerPoint. So, the first thing I just think of is how much older I've gotten, in part because of just what this job is about. So, I don't know who has seen this picture before, but so this is me, and I'm 5, and my mom is to the left, and that's my sister Sarah. She's 2, and I actually said, this is in Novato in Marin County. I actually said to my mom after she was organizing a wetlands cleanup event. Can you imagine that? I met the city manager of Novato, and I thought I'd like to have that job someday. So that was me. The lady on the right is Ms. Munden. I don't know who she was, but my mom looks at this story and still tells the story of having an aggressive discussion with her about feminism in 1970. See, my mom is a bit, Mrs. Cleaver, and Mrs. Munden was more like Shirley Jones. So, moving forward, this is Dave getting older too, and these are 3 of my favorite people. Marion Bergeson, Jack Skinner, Nancy Skinner, and that's me to the left there. So we figure this is 1989. We're in the back bay, or at the back bay, probably by where the Muth Center is. I need to show you this because some people don't believe that I was even a Republican. And I think Scott left too. He's not here to see me. Same year, me and Pete Wilson and Tom Riley. Dave with Elizabeth Dole. Who knew that could happen? I was driving her around when she was doing Bob Dole's campaign in '96. So City Life begins. This is about 2001. Still some very dear people. Gail Rosenstein. I still correspond with her all the time. Of course, remember Todd Ridgway, and that's Lloyd Dalton, and Helen Japenga. And we were working on, those gateway parks to the start of the peninsula that now look really dated. But they were brand new right then. I put in this picture because, and these are still people who are with the city. Homer and Bob are there too. So Homer is there. Bob Burnham is there. So this is, and those of you guys know Dan M., the finance director. So that's Dan. That's, again, how many years ago? And then here go my bona fides. So this is September of 2002. I can't imagine why these people did not want to be in the picture with me, and they demanded retractions. So. And I just remember the other Barbara. See, we have this Barbara, we have that Barbara. So Don Webb needs to stand up for just a second and put your hat on. So this was Don's retirement, and I probably got the date wrong. What was the date?
It was actually July 10th of 2001.
We had Don Webb retirement day, so we all dressed like Don Webb. So. And Don always had this huge old watch, so we just... Again, a couple more of my favorite people. Mary Bergson, Steve Rosansky, and this is honoring Sunset Ridge Park. And then this is just the stress of life being a city manager. So I'm going to go through things that I'm not going to miss. Honorable mention, we're entering silly season. I am not sad to not be entering it with you. And just campaign sign enforcement, and it's a nightmare. if you can imagine that it's a nightmare because each campaign calls and says, well, you left that sign up, you didn't take that one down. So we just decide to leave them all up sometimes. This was your house? All right. It was just a great photo. This is another honorable mention thing I'm not going to miss, bridge jumpers on Lido Isle. It's just, the police come, they have to go, and then the kids just come back, and some people complain, and some people just think, hey, leave them alone. So just intractable. And then now I actually have the ranking of the most intractable problems that I'm not going to miss. Motorcycle noise. Fire pits. There is no good solution here. Just the boardwalk and how do you solve busyness on the boardwalk? I mean, we got some good ideas, but that's a problem we just have never been able to solve. Dog beach. So, in everyone else's good hands. And coyotes. Again, really challenging issue to try to solve this. So, this is in the category, winner of the category of things I love but I won't miss. And that's the rabbits. Won't miss winner, aquatic division. That is a shark. That is the Balboa Pier area. Yeah, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. Brent's not here, but Brent would know right off the top of his head. Won't miss in the winter. Airborne division is just next gen, so you guys will follow all that with me. Most bothersome first world problem, banner towing aircraft. I don't know if they bug the heck out of you. They bug the heck out of me. Not a lot we can do about them. So here's where I'm going to offend some people. This is the biggest thing that I shake my head about. I do think that people in Newport need to be more concerned about admitting climate change is real. And a lot of folks are, some folks still don't. And so that's something I struggle with. Winter biggest irritant as a city manager. Now this is not from Newport, but the city staff that here knows that one of my biggest irritants is typographical errors. And then the most annoying media platform is my beloved Nextdoor. You've heard me just criticize it. I just think, here's what it is to me. It's people get on there and just say, bunch of city losers, why the heck haven't they solved this problem that I haven't even told them about? So my love, it's really a hate relationship with Nextdoor. There's not a lot of love there. So, number one thing I will not miss are council meetings. No offense to anybody that I'm just not going to miss them. Some things to remember. I've talked about some of these in my insider's guide, so I won't go to. Sunset Ridge needs a parking lot, of course. We talked about John Wayne's success, or I wrote about that. It doesn't work if we're bifurcated into neighborhood by neighborhood. The only way we're able to succeed in combating the adverse effects of John Wayne are when we work together. And that's especially true right now in working in Next Gen. And we're trying to hold the community groups together. And there are a lot of really great community groups. The three major ones, Airfare, Spawn, AWG, and CAANP. So we're working hard on that. Just from a city perspective, city manager perspective, Homer did this, we do this, we budget conservatively. We need to continue to do that. And we're doing that. And when I say that, meaning we estimate that our costs are going to be higher than they probably were, and we assume that our revenues will probably be lower than they are. And what that does is it allows us to never run a deficit, and it's an important thing. Even in tough times, we've never run a deficit at the end of the year. I'm very proud of that. It's also great to get ahead of the PERS cost curve, and we've been doing that, and I'll mention that in my advice going forward. Other stuff to remember, it's really hard to compare Newport Beach when you see a comparison in the paper or especially in the register that will go on and on about our pension costs and someone else's. You know, we're just a different animal. We have more, you can't compare us with another community of 85,000 people, because we have 120,000 in a daytime and we have 200,000 on a weekend. And I can't tell Chief John Lewis or Chief Chip Duncan, you know what, ratchet back the police based on the amount of population that's here. We always have to staff up. I just got an email last night, or the council did. Someone was just really upset at all the crowds at Corona Del Mar. Well, you can see what's happening in Irvine. Obviously, Irvine is ballooning. It's growing to its maximum growth, which is 360,000 people. And there's only one beach, and there's only one stretch of beach. It's Laguna, it's Newport, it's Huntington. So these places are going to keep being busy. And then Rush talked about this a little bit. This is just something I hope people just never forget, this is such an amazing quality of life here and how important it is to protect it. And that means protecting things like the Clean Water Act and staying opposed to offshore oil drilling and all the things that matter in that regard. Sad note, these are people I will never forget because they passed away while I was here. And it related to city activities. Hayun Miller was crushed by a tree. Brock McCann was hit in a trash truck, and then Ben Carlson, one of our own employees, was working and died in service. So it was really hard to not forget those people. So still saying serious, and then I'll get silly again. My advice going forward to everybody in the room, it's important to be concerned about pensions, but only the city manager needs to lose sleep over that. The city has a good plan in place to pay down our pension debt faster than almost any other city. So I'm very respectful of what the council did in that regard. Infrastructure investment is good for all of us. I'm not going to vote I'm not going to vote to repeal the gas tax. Personally, and if you look around, while Newport can probably keep managing our roads pretty well, cities around us are not going to. Fullerton, Costa Mesa, these are places with real serious road problems, and our economy is going to suffer if we don't protect the infrastructure that keeps our economy going. Another important thing I like to remember is we succeed because we're a different town. Our residents matter to our revenue, our visitors matter, our businesses matter. And if we stop knowing that, if we stop trying to revitalize little areas, we're going to stagnate. But this can still be done respectful of the community needs and our quality of life. Homelessness is almost solvable, big issue for us. There's a lot of really good work being done. The city will need to stay engaged on it and focused on it. This is for our council candidates. You need to be realistic about what can be done given state laws. Some people will come in and say, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, especially as a result to labor or other cost cutting. And the bottom line is we're in a pretty blue state, and those regulations govern us. Life in your city keeps getting more and more complex. It's really important to keep up. You guys all see it just as time marches on. Our phones get more complex, computers do, so does your city. All the laws, all the things that we follow really get more intricate. In the coming years, science and technology will continue to influence policy. Just talking with our public works folks about parking, traffic management, talking with the police chief about crime suppression, some amazing things that technology are going to do, and that needs to be incorporated into policy and how we act. And then one of the reasons I'm not sad to leave is there's a lack of, the civility is really suffering, and it's nationwide. To me, it's, someone just sent an email the other day blasting the city council for something they had nothing to do with. And I just thought there was a time when people would think before that and or pick up the phone. And my interactions with people on the phone are so positive, or in person, where on email it's like, let me just get this off my chest, I'm going to send it along. And I think for many people in this room, those things are, you have an empathetic reaction to that and end up really reacting poorly to that kind of discussion. So back to something a little bit more humorous. What I'm going to miss with some more awards. Winner of Best Community Amenities. To me, Marina Park and the Civic Center Green are really just two really cool places. I'm so proud of them. Favorite projects ever. I just love the Civic Center Park. Just a tremendous resource. Sunset Ridge is my first runner-up for the favorite project ever. Just World's Best Senior Center. I didn't have as much to do with this as Homer did, but it's just wonderful to be in a community where Oasis exists. Does anybody know what this is? Yeah. So this is my favorite project ever. And it's a really simple one, but it opened up a place that is so special for people in Newport. 4 bridges, really opened up that trail and the management. And I hope everybody who has a chance can get out there and enjoy that. You just feel like you're in a different world, and you're not. Number one issue I'll miss working on is the airport. I really love this issue. It's just a fascinating thing to work on, and I do think we can make some progress there. Number one, cheapest and best solution to the problem. Anybody know what this is? Laura does. This is the West Newport 4th of July program where, Mike Ken's not here, but it was kind of Mike's idea along with Chief Jay Johnson and Laura's to say, what if we can figure out a way to calm the crowds down, but keep the families here and make it feel like it's a place for families to stay. And that was totally inexpensive, totally reasonable, and we're in our 9th year of it, and it's really gone just so well. I'm so proud of that group. Third runner-up, Best Community Program, our animal shelter. Second runner-up, our CERT program. What an amazing thing to have this level of community engagement for the community. If you haven't been involved in CERT, please do. The library, to me, is the first runner-up. Just the amazing things in this building. And then, can anybody guess what my winner for Best Community Program is? Close. Junior lifeguards. I did not grow up here. I am so envious of the kids that did and can learn to love the ocean and respect it and swim in it appropriately and enjoy it. And there's just nothing like this. And I hope you have kids or grandkids that they get to participate in it. This is my best form of professional torture. I go with them on the Monster Mile, and this is me being passed by hundreds of thousands of 8-year-olds. Yeah. So some more. I gave awards for Halloween years, and Homer was great about participating in this. So we had moved into a trailer. Remember when the old City Hall, we had to add some trailers, right? So our city managers group decided to be the trailer trash group. So this is Marilee Jackson, Helen Wick, Debbie Lecterick, Homer, Shannon Levin, and myself back there. That's third best Halloween year. Second best, so this is Don Webb and me, Harry Potter and Dumbledore. And we were supposed to go as like favorite book heroes, and we did that, and I said, I think I'm going to go as Harry Potter, and Don said, have you ever read it? I said, no. And so I have now read all the Harry Potter books like 6 times, so thank you, Don, for that. Best Halloween year, so Homer's in the middle, that's me, that's Shirley to the left, Helen, Debbie, Sharon Wood, everybody knows Sharon Wood. She's a civil service board member. That's her to my left, and then Marilee Jackson. So we were indeed Homer and the Simpsons. I've worked for 84 plus people, and these are the ones that I've worked with the most closely as city manager. And I just want to tell you that without exception, it has been, they have been a pleasure to work with. And just to hear their vision, and I don't always agree with their vision, but that's not my role, but just to hear their interest and their ideas for the community, it's just really been enjoyable. And I'm going to miss every minute of those interactions. Again, not the council meetings themselves, but the interactions with these folks. Councilmember Heffernan is here, former Mayor Heffernan, and he was not on the council that hired me, but he's in the same boat of really wonderful people in Newport. And I hope you guys all feel special that you're able to be represented by good people like this. This might be a surprise. I'm really going to miss this guy. This is John Morlock. Very thoughtful person. I disagree with him on a lot of different things personally, but you know, when you put him next to, I also think we're going to miss this guy. Trust me, and after December, we're going to miss this guy. This has been a moderate, thoughtful, calm influence on California government. And when you put the two of them together, I think they're two of the most hardworking politicians in the state. And I really admire both of them, and from different sides of the spectrum. Anyway, person I'll miss the most. It's hard to think that she's not here. I will miss a lot of at least 99% of the residents. You know, no one in this room is part of that, not the less than 1%, but there are some that I won't miss. But this is a great group of people to work for. You are all a great group of people to work for. Best city management team I've ever known. And I added Simone because he's not in that picture, but Kim's in that picture. But George Murdoch's there, Mike Pisani have since retired, Kim Brandt since retired. But what a tremendous group of people. I hope they stick together. Still getting choked up. This is Shirley. Shirley puts up with a lot. And the number one thing I'll miss is just being this. It's been the honor of my lifetime. So what's next? A little happier. Healdsburg, California, we closed escrow on a house. It's not far from my parents' farm where I grew up. It's far enough. I don't have to weed every day. I'm climbing Mount Whitney in September. This is kind of the world that I'm going to. These are my nieces. This is my mom. How many years later since 1970? These are my brothers and some of my brother's family, my partner Tom. And I'll leave you with this. Hopefully you can read this. One of my favorite comics, Calvin and Hobbes. This was his, Bill Watterson's last strip. So, yeah, sure. So he's closing off the strip, and he's just saying how wonderful it is that you can start with a clean start. And like having a big sheet of white paper to draw upon, a day full of possibilities, and then off they go exploring. So I'm going off exploring. Thanks, everybody.
We have a little bit of time, and Dave has agreed to deal with a couple of question and answers. So
As long as you don't choke me up, I don't
Yeah.
want to choke up.
So we'll bring you back up here, Dave.
Okay, Sue.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm going to try.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. We could take some policy questions. Hello.
Kind of ditto, but also I think you're pretty knowledgeable about the homelessness problem, and I wondered if, in a few words, you could give us some ideas of action.
Sure. So the county's working with all of the cities, and generally all the cities are participating in trying to make sure there is a continuum of housing. Everything from entry level, where you just put a roof on somebody's head and then get them stabilized, especially if they have a substance abuse problem or mental illness problem. And the biggest challenge is siting those places. And there's two of them in Santa Ana, one in Anaheim. They're trying to find one in South Orange County. So I think as that gets established, then the next roles for the cities will start to diverge. And a city could be, for instance, a place where homeless folks get employed. And I think we could do that, whether it's helping clean the harbor or other things, activities like that, where you get people to, just that first step on the ladder. And then cities will be exploring this concept of permanent supportive housing. And that is just like we did in Newport Shores at the Cove, which has been a really good neighbor so far. It's just a place where you can get your own apartment, but somebody is there to make sure that you stay stable in terms of whatever has caused your homelessness. And we think countywide we need about 2,700 units of permanent supportive housing, and I'm hopeful that every city will at least do its share where it can. So some exciting things happening and moving the ball forward and all those things. Good question, thank you. John?
Seems to be a fair amount of distrust for city councils. This $50 million ballot measure that we don't trust our councilmen, that we all have to vote on next raise. This city hall complex is about 3.5% of our annual budget. Not very much, but the Taj Mahals are pretty thick. My question is the viability and sensibility of paying down PERS, which again I think reflects a distrust of the council. I never give cash up. I like to control it. I would have set up a sinking fund with the city controlling it, because in the future, you're going to have a very democratic Sacramento, and there'll be very few cities that have paid down this, and they just might do something odd and take some of that money that you put with them and put it back in the pool. What do you think about that?
So that's a great concern and a great question. You probably share that with Councilmember Piotrs here. That's something Councilmember Piotrs reiterated. Why give more to this group that we probably don't trust? And I think that's something that the city needs to keep evaluating. Remember, just our policy has been pretty simple. It's been pay what we owe, never pay below the minimum of what we owe. Some cities have to do that. And we actually sped up our payments, like refinancing a mortgage. We refinanced it twice, so we're paying more than we would have owed, but we're locked into that. And then the thing that the council has done on top of that is to pay more voluntarily. Think now, not refinancing your mortgage, but making an extra payment once or twice a year. So we do that to the tune of $9 million a year. We're doing it to avoid negative amortization of our unfunded liability. Some cities will actually, because PERS is charging 7%. Whatever you don't pay, you're owing 7% on it. So it's quite a debt. It's a very significant debt. As to do I trust the decision makers at PERS or in the legislature? I don't entirely, but I do think that they do CalPERS treats our fund as a separate entity. And could that change in the future? I guess. To me, that's almost something that would be a bedrock foundational thing that could not change. Our money at PERS is our money at PERS. So if we're doing better with it and paying more, I don't see that being touched or affected. Again, I could be wrong, and I think that's why you have a fair point and Councilmember Piotr has a fair point in making that statement. Thank you. Other questions?
What's on the horizon for the airport?
So the airport, just so everyone knows, need to warn you that there is growth coming to the airport, not physical growth, but passenger growth. And that kicks in January 1 of 2021. And the passenger cap will go from 10.8 million to 11.8 million. Now, is that an awful thing? I think there are reasons why Newport should not be as concerned about that. One is that they're jamming more of us into planes. We all know that. And you can have the same, you can actually accommodate that amount of passengers in the same amount of planes. Will they do that? That's yet to be seen. The thing that we're working on with them the most is the new plane technologies are really remarkable. One by Boeing, one by Airbus, and they're buying them now. You can get on YouTube and look at the Boeing 737 MAX and how it flies. We've had one MAX fly out of John Wayne Airport almost accidentally on Christmas Eve last year. And it was so quiet, it did not trigger the noise monitor at noise monitoring station 7. So the difference is the engine design is completely different. It's a bigger engine, so what it does is it powers the plane up faster, and then the cutback is a better cutback. And even at the other noise monitors, it was 9 decibels below what a typical same weighted, same destination Southwest flight was flying. Your ear can pick up 3 decibels. 9 decibels is a dramatic decrease. So the carriers are all buying these, not necessarily because they want to be better neighbors, because they're also much more fuel efficient, so they can save money on gas. So I want people in Newport to stay engaged on this issue, stay vigilant about it. Don't be panicked. John Wayne Airport has some manageable solutions ahead of it, and as long as we stay on the ball and stay engaged, groups like Melinda's group, Airfare, Tim's group, are doing that. If you want to join a community group and have a minute to do so, those are some of the groups to join, Airfare, AWG, or CANP. They're really doing good work. Thanks for the question.
One more?
Dave, what's the long-term outlook, in your opinion, for city revenues? Does it look pretty stable in the long run?
Generally, yes. The property tax is always the thing that saves Newport Beach, and even in the depths of the recession, we did not have a property tax reduction, and that's in part because some of the pre-Prop 13 properties were turning over, even as values were going down. But so I don't worry about that. As long as we need to kind of embrace our hotel community as we have, and make sure that the TOT side of things is important. The area that I worry about the most, and just the potential change, is sales taxes, just because there's so many different ways that we're buying things. And the brick and mortar stores, you guys probably, we could show hands how many people are shopping at brick and mortar as frequently as they were 10 years ago. And we are seeing that in the sales tax. It's flattening out. It's increasing slightly, but the curve is significantly lower. So overall, I think as long as people keep a good eye on that, the diversity of our revenue base is something that will always help Newport. I didn't even mention the income properties like the Bay Club or the Beacon Bay residences. But a city like Costa Mesa, which is more reliant on sales tax, Brea, those places will have much more volatility than Newport. So I think good future ahead. Thank you.
Well, we truly have been blessed with the leadership, and we will miss Dave for certain. You might have heard me share once again, I was in the council chambers the day that the decision was made to hire our new city manager. And Ed Selledge was mayor at the time. And the council got up and went into closed session, left the council chamber absolutely packed. Standing room only, the old one, they pulled the curtains open and people were standing in the lobby. I'd never seen the place so packed. And the council came back out and took their seats, and Ed Selledge sat down and said, we've made our decision and we're going to hire Dave Kiff as the new city manager. And the entire audience did just what you did, stood up and gave him a standing ovation. I have never seen that before. What was absolutely amazing was Ed forgot that his mic was open. And he turned to the council person next to him and said, boy, I'm glad we didn't select the other guy. So we've been very pleased, we've been very blessed, and so now we'll look to the future. Thank you for coming today. I have one final have to do, and that's to bring back up Mr. Rosansky, who still thinks he's the business mayor.
Hey, that's what my license plate says anyway. So, thank you all for coming this morning. We have a lot of great programming between now and our next Wake Up Newport meeting, so I'll just give you the quick rundown on it. If you find yourself with nothing to do next week, we have actually 3 things going on, so please join us for at least one. Pam is going to be running our monthly business luncheon series. This week, this month, the topic is on leveraging LinkedIn. So if you're a business person and you're not using your LinkedIn account to help grow your business, you should come here and you can learn about that. We're going to be moving back this month over to the Bahia Corinthian Yacht Club, so it's a nice location right there on the water. And that's Wednesday, July 18th from 11:30 to 1:30. All of these things you can get on our website too. You don't have to copy it all down or pick. We have some flyers back there. Don't worry about that. But it's always a great luncheon. The food's really good over there, and the speakers are usually pretty top-notch. After that, on July 19th, so Thursday, is our government affairs meeting. We have that over at our offices. It's a much smaller meeting than this, about 25 to 30 people. You have to be a chamber member to join us. There's very few things that we do at the chamber that we don't invite the public in or prospective new members and things like that, but that's one of them. Our speaker will be, I believe, Assemblyman Matt Harper will be there. So we're looking forward to seeing Matt. We may also get a presentation from Ben Carlson Foundation. So it should be a good one. Please join us. That's at our chamber offices at 4343 Von Carmen. And then if you miss that, you can always come back the next day because we're going to have our third lakeside barbecue of the summer. We always have a great time. We have a beautiful patio next to the lake by the Pacific Club. So please join us for that. It's from 4:30 to 6:30. This month, Newport Rib Company is going to be bringing some food, so it should be pretty good. And we'll have usual hamburgers and hot dogs cooked by myself, I might add. But some beer and wine and a few other things. So please join us for that. And that's, as I said, July 20th. July 21st, it's not technically a chamber event, but I'm going to plug it anyway. As you know, and Dave would know, and Homer probably would know even better, is the chamber's part of the 1-1 Marine Foundation. And we're going to have our second car wash of the summer at the dunes over kind of near the bistro area where the boat washes. From 10 to 2 on next Saturday. The money all goes to the Marines to help defer the cost of the Marine Corps ball. The suggested donation is $20. So if you have a dirty car, please bring it over, and Marines would love to wash it for you, and you can meet some of the men and women that are protecting us. Let's see. Oh, so moving into next week. After that is our monthly mixer. It's going to be at Nobu. Who's been to Nobu so far? Oh, okay. This is a good chance to go. Free food, so don't worry about the prices. And I've been there several times. The food's great, and they got a great view of the top of the back of the harbor there. So please join us for that. That's July 26th from 5:30 to 7:30. Chamber members are free. Non-members pay $35, but if you are thinking about joining the chamber, then you want to talk to Jim Villers, and he will put you on the guest list, and then you will be free as well. So, and you can bring your friends and guests, city employees or department heads, they always come free. So, invite you as well. It's an unknown perk. Oh, no. I know it's against the rules, but what the hell. The city's a member of the chamber, so they're employees. Yeah, sure they are. You guys help us all the time. Anyway, so then that leads into next month. Our next Wake Up Newport meeting will be August 2nd, back, as I said, to the first Thursday. And our speaker is Robert Braithwaite, the president of Hoag Hospital. So he's going to give us a quick update on all the exciting things that are going on there. It's amazing. And just in the last 10, 15 years, how they've kind of expanded out to be like probably the top health provider, I would think, or one of the top health providers, not just in Newport Beach, but in the whole county. I mean, they have a couple of hospitals now. They got medical centers all over the place. I hear some rumors that they're thinking about doing some more stuff on their campus, which I think they have about 100,000 square feet of entitlement still left there, so you could see a fairly large building there as well. So come and hear what Robert has to say, and you can quiz him on all that stuff. Thank you again for coming. If you haven't gotten some of that food back there, please take some. We have more than enough. Thanks to John Heffernan, who I didn't call out, for joining us this morning as one of our dignitaries this morning, and we'll see you all next month.